start our September 3rd, 2020 Township Water Authority meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
It's an open meeting in the tape recorder. And, roll call.
Jim?
Here.
Pat?
Here.
Debbie?
Here.
Lisa?
Here.
Franny?
Here.
And myself and Brian Bloom.
Okay, report on the executive meeting on September 3rd, 2020.
There were no decisions made.
No decision made. Okay, visitors' comments.
Did we have any?
No, I don't have no emails. Not that I could find, not that I know of.
You didn't tell me of any.
No.
Alright.
I talked to Bob Coppola earlier today at the Bennett's Branch Watershed meeting. He asked if there was any plan on going back to public meeting. I said I would ask the board and see if there was any.
I'm good with it, but I mean, I know everybody has all different opinions of it, and but I would be in for that. I mean, I have no problem with that. But like I said, everybody else.
You want to do? It's up to you guys.
It's up to the whole board to make that decision.
Somebody would have to say they want to make a motion if they want to do that.
Do we have to put that like on new business or something, or?
And then he asked me about record keeping with the PLC, if we have secondary records of I guess the drawings and even a backup copy of the program, like the PLC itself, say something fried or whatever. I told him, as far as I know, Cambria has all that. His concern was, if Cambria were ever to go out of business, are we able to recover that?
Yeah,
I'm sure they'd reach out to us if they were, but
their Cambria system normally doesn't put a lock on most of their stuff. So and I know several people that are able to get into and manipulate Cambria system.
yeah. So I can talk to Jeff too sometime and say, can we get
I thought when it did go down last time that we did back up.
the computer itself? He's talking more about the logic board itself and the stuff that gets written to it, which I know there's a backup drive in the pump building. I don't know if that's the primary for the PLC or if that's where so maybe that is the backup, maybe that's where it goes and whatnot, so I'll look into that.
What are these copies of?
Software backups for the PLC.
And all the logs that the SCADA system stores.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's in the pump building.
Okay, approval of the agenda.
We need to add a correspondence from William Upperman and
Under new business.
which is under correspondence, and then under new business would be if we're going to discuss meeting status.
If you want to make it 11 and discuss it, that's up to you.
So, well, it'd be number 3, I guess. We'll discuss it. Number 3, new business.
Number 4, whether we want to have meetings again.
What was under 2?
Executive session was number 2. 3 would be new business for meeting status.
Yeah. Meeting. Yeah, meeting status. That's the best way to put it. And then just the correspondence. So with the addition of William Upperman on correspondence and number 3, status of meetings, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Alright, I'll second that motion. Okay, approve of the minutes,
You mean
right?
all in favor?
Oh, yeah, all in
Yeah.
favor, I'm sorry.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, approval of the minutes, regular meeting minutes from September 3rd, 2020.
Sharon and I added, we basically took the verbal answers to Jim Huff's questions and transcribed them on here,
And also send them to Jim.
sent them to Jim. So you're on the record for that one.
Okay. So what we wanna,
Motion.
a motion to approve the minutes,
I'll make a motion for a minute.
have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, treasurer's report.
Oh, I'm taking this down so I can help. The treasurer's part, the balance in checking account as of 8/31/2020 was $67,523.57. Total deposits were $4,766.14. Accounts payable was $48,302.58. A bank charge of $12 for an NSF check. Balance in checking account as of 9/30 was $28,975.13.
23?
Pardon me?
23?
Yep, 23,000.
You said 20. Sorry.
Balance in savings account as of 8/31 was $276,214.46. And the ending balance in account as of 9/30 was $276,225.78.
Wonderful treasurer report.
Bills go out early next week, so we should see checking get better too.
It's allergies.
Alright, Megan?
It's allergies, sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, you have to point that out.
I have to, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
When I sneeze more than, that's gonna happen again.
Okay.
When you're done, we'll go.
Go ahead, go.
Alright. Approval of the bills.
The accounts payable was $48,302.58. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
I have a couple things through the month here.
Okay?
I had a little issue. Okay, first of all, when you guys were fixing the pipe down here at the paper place,
Mhm.
what's his name, the big guy that works with you there?
Justin?
Justin.
Yeah.
Well, I pulled in, and when I see him working, I'll pull in and check things and see if I
Yeah,
can
but
help.
does this have to do with the accounts payable first?
No, go
We
ahead.
should approve the accounts payable
Oh,
and then
go
go
ahead,
on.
go ahead, go ahead,
Okay.
and I'll go on.
So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
A second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed.
I'm going to abstain due to my payroll.
There you go. Okay. Correspondence.
Yeah, where do we want to put Franny's?
Well, we
I
can
don't
put
know
it,
what it's about, where do you wanna put it, Franny?
Well, I just got a couple issues here that I wanna go over.
Go ahead.
Okay, if it's time.
Yep.
When I stopped there, they were fixing the line, and I just stopped to see. And he said, well, I'm off the clock right now, cause we're working for the other guy digging the water line. They were fixing the water line, and it was only 10, 20 feet off of the main line. And I'm saying, well, why are you off the clock of the water company? You come here to fix the line, you should stay on the clock, I'm feeling, maybe I'm wrong, until you're done with this fix, right? So why would he get off the clock of the water authority? And then he goes to go back in the hole, and he slips like and falls. I said, see, that's why you still should be on the clock. If you slip and fall, you know, the insurance ain't gonna cover you if you're on the clock or off the clock.
He'd have to be under Vince's insurance.
Who
But
was
I
he
mean-
working for, us or for Vince at that time?
He helped Vince.
He helps Vince.
So, I mean,
Through us or
No.
for Vince?
for Vince, as far as
Right.
I'm
And that was
understanding.
like one of the first times I think you did that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, I think when the guy goes with the water company like you,
Mhm.
even if you're over on the other, help it, cause you still gotta go over to shut the water off, turn the water on. I don't think you should punch out.
Well, what time of the day was it? I mean, was it like late after
Yeah,
hours?
it was
3
after
o'clock.
hours. It was like 5
3:30.
o'clock, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
He
yeah.
clocked out. I'm pretty sure he left work at normal time. I think he met Vince at 5. I was working over because that's when I was flushing lines.
Yes, that day.
So yeah, typically, and then he did come back to work and help me flush when he was done. I think that was the day he did that. Might have been a different day, but so typically, like, we'll do a repair up to a curb box, and like you mentioned, if it needs shut off, typically most people doing that are during the day. So yeah, we would be paid to do that. I guess we're splitting hairs with
That's what I'm saying.
the fact that it's beyond the customer's curb box. That's typically contracted out by the customer, because we don't, our liability ends there.
That's a fine
The thing
line.
about it, I mean, is, if this kid wants to go and help Vinny, that's Vinny's, responsibility. If
Yeah.
Vinny wants to hire him, put him on paper,
And it's
go
weird.
by the normal rules of life,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
that's the
I'm-
way it should be.
I'm like 99% with that. Like, yep, that's the customer side. If Vince wants to hire Justin outside of hours, that's fine.
Yeah.
I guess the only discrepancy is, like, if we're on a dig and the gas company comes out to help us locate the line, it's our dig, but they'll get in the hole. If they get hurt, whose insurance does it fall on?
Yeah,
But it's splitting hairs thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion then, Ben?
My opinion is, I think if they went there for the break,
Mhm.
they should stay on the company time till the break is done. But now, if they go off of there, you know, just for our safety and his safety, they should, how do you guys clock out and in? When he's-
When we write down on the sheet.
So
when we're
if he
done.
gets hurt in the meantime, he didn't go down and write nothing down.
Right. Well, he wrote down on the timesheet that day that he was done at 4 or 5 o'clock or whatever. Then he went on site.
Then he went on site,
Yep, he was in his truck or
as long as he's
whatever.
on
So he
site.
clocked
Yeah.
out first,
Yeah.
before he went to the site.
Yes.
And that would
Yes.
be, that would not be our responsibility.
When
But
I-
say, like when Continental's in, if they hit a line and it requires us to stay late,
Mhm.
even though it's after normal hours, we're going to be required to be there because it'll be like a big line or
So
So
something.
that's.
So
that's
we
on
would
the
be
clock.
on the clock. We would be.
So my opinion on this is, Justin, if he's working for us, he's working for us.
Mhm.
He can't say, okay, I'm gonna go clock out and work for Vince.
Yeah, that's the problem I have.
He
So
can't stay.
that's I have a problem with that too, so
Yeah.
he can't do that. If he's working for us, he has to stay, I mean, I don't care what he does after hours, that's,
Oh,
Right.
yeah, I don't
If
either.
he
yeah.
if he wrote down that he was off the clock at 4 o'clock, I look at it that if beyond that time he's Vince's baby.
You're right,
Yep.
that's what I think, and I think that's what we all think.
And if it's a big enough leak that there's an operator that is required to be there, then somebody needs to stay on the clock, basically.
Yeah, because you have to shut it off, turn it on to see if it leaked,
Mhm.
Yes.
because he had to go back over, I was there, he had to turn it on.
Yep.
So he definitely should have been on the clock.
Yep. And how we handle that, typically, water authority staff are the only ones allowed to open and close a
That's
valve.
right, that's what I said.
Well, anyone can go to Catalog's and buy a wrench. Anyone can go to order one out of USA Blue Book. So we know people, especially contractors, open and close them. Basically, and I tell people when I see it, I'm like, you're not supposed to be doing that. And I go full disclosure with them. I said, if you open or close that valve and it leaks,
It's your baby.
it's your baby. We fix it, you're gonna get a bill.
Okay.
So, and we'd have to fix it at that point. So, it's, I don't wanna say it's a gentleman's agreement, I mean, it's clearly understood to the rules and regulations. Like, Vince has a wrench. If Vince wants to turn it off and on, that's fine, but he very well knows.
Yeah, if he busts something.
If
out
something
of it.
happens to that when he's operating that wrench, he assumes the liability.
So what do you wanna, we wanna say something to
What-
Justin?
Well, he asked me, and I said, well, to my point of view, I'm not telling you to go punch back into the water authority, because I said, I will bring it to the board
Well,
and see what the board feels about, because you're still really working on the same water leak that you started with. And now all of a sudden, you're working with him. And I you
and
know, it's a fine line.
what was Vinny there for in the first place?
To repair Nancy's line.
To repair Nancy's line,
Mhm.
not repair our main line or anything,
Correct.
right?
He was contracted by John and Tom Bryson to fix their sister's line.
Okay.
So yeah, he was off the clock,
He was off the
and
clock.
he was hired
Well,
by Vince to help
here's the
him.
thing, if he wants to help Vinny, that's fine, but he's gonna have to help Vinny
There can't be any gray area here. It has to
Yeah, I
be
mean,
black and white.
Then you should have been on the line, you should have
Yeah.
been on the lake then,
you should have been there.
and he shouldn't have
Say,
been
hey,
on the lake.
we got this line fixed, can you come turn water?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Cause once Justin's day is done,
Yep.
it's done.
Yeah.
There
'Cause,
ain't,
like,
there ain't no
like you're-
more, there ain't no pay after that.
Yeah.
You know, because he wants to go help Vinny.
Unless he's called out for an emergency.
Yeah,
Or whatever.
Because really, he's under
And even
Clark
so,
Vincent.
like you splitting hairs again, saying that situation, Vince would have hit the line and pulled it out of the tap.
Oh.
Justin can't go all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, hey, well, I'm back on the
I'm
clock.
on the-
you
Yeah.
know.
No, you're a contractor at
I
that
don't-
time.
I don't
get
know
called
where-
out.
He's working for
Oh.
Vincent at that time,
Yeah.
not the water authority.
So,
Yeah.
So he would have had to call you out to
Yes.
come do it.
Well,
So
question, is this something that he's gonna do now?
Well,
I don't
it
know.
doesn't matter what he does.
Yeah,
When he's done at 4
it's-
o'clock, that's it, he's done.
right,
yeah.
If he wants to help Vinny and Vinny hits him in the head with a backhoe bucket or something,
well, he works
that's
for
Vinny's
free.
problem. That's everybody's
Doesn't
problem.
he work
That's
for
their
free?
problem. It has nothing to do with the
Mhm.
water authority.
but no,
He
you
works
still have to
from seven
protect the
to
water company, you have to protect Vinny too, or vice versa. Somebody's gotta know where he's working at all the time.
Yeah, basically the dividing line would be
We don't have to protect Vinny. Vinny has his own
Yeah.
insurance. That ain't our job to protect Vinny. Vinny is one of the contractors that we contact
Yeah.
when there's a break,
And I
you know,
understand that.
wherever. Or if you guys need him to fix a main, that's fine. It's a different story because you're both on the job,
Yep.
on the clock.
so the big determinant is to,
Yeah, when the
and,
day's
and
over.
Justin did clock out, so that's the big thing.
Yeah.
You have to
Once Justin clocks out,
that's
there's no more him touching any water authority stuff.
Unless he
It's as
gets
simple
called
as
out
that.
by the
Yeah.
authority.
because even if it was him operating that wrench, yes, he's a water company employee, but he's
Yeah.
one
Not on
of
the
Vince's. Yeah, he was Vince's employee at that time. So
That's, you see, that's why I'm asking.
And it's as simple as this, you know how it is in the contractors in Johnstown putting all the sewer laterals in? Before they can even start doing any kind of work for anybody, if they have any employees, they have to show them that they have the general liability on it, you know, so,
Alright, I just told him that I would bring that forward, cause I didn't think he
good
should
point.
have on a point, so.
Yeah, good
What you
Glad
wanna
you
tell
brought
him
it up.
is just, that's why
well, we
we're
need to
discussing.
decide what we're gonna tell him,
No.
since you brought it up,
Well,
it needs
I
to be
mean,
addressed.
do
Well,
we tell him
that's
it's
what I mean,
okay?
I think I just
Uh,
pretty
Yes.
much
Said what-
self-explained,
yeah.
you know what I
Okay.
mean? 4 o'clock, Justin's done. He can do whatever he wants to, but he ain't touching that main water line
And
or a
being paid by
curb
the
stop
authority.
of the water authority, you know what I mean?
Then he has to be told that, if he's working for him, he can't be shutting the water and turning
That's
it
it.
on.
He
Yeah.
should know that,
yeah,
He
so he was
should.
pushing a line.
yeah,
He
and
was
like
just
I said, like if Vince can only work in the evenings, do I want to be babysitting him all through the night, waiting for him to turn that valve off when I live in Dubois? No,
Yeah.
but
Well,
if it's, I guess maybe I just have to remind every contractor, you can operate that valve. I'm not giving you the okay to operate that valve, but if you do and you break it,
mhm.
You bought it.
yeah, very unlikely, but it basically goes back to the rules and regulations.
What do you think of this situation?
I mean, I agree with you guys in terms of if Vince is working on customer service
Yeah.
line with Justin's assistance, Justin is obviously on
Just
on
helping
Vince's
him.
payroll because the water authority has no business there.
Mhm.
If Vince is working on a main line for us and Justin's there, obviously he's on the water authority payroll. Patrick will most likely be there.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I remember that day, it was like she had water, and then all of a sudden she didn't have water,
Right.
so,
Oh, that was interesting.
yeah,
Why, what happened
There's,
after?
Yeah, it
there's
was
three valves there in front of the Valley News. The
Okay.
farthest left one closest to Nancy's driveway you would think is hers. The middle one was leaking. So we shut it off. I went and pounded on her door. Hey Nancy, do you still have water? She ran the faucet. Yep, I have water. We went in the Valley News. Jimmy was out back. And Chad showed up too. So we went back, opened the faucet in the bathroom. Jimmy had water. I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I went back to Jimmy and I talked to him. Apparently his water line goes behind Nancy's and over to his house. Really weird, but
Mhm.
those
I-
are old lines.
yeah. And when Duffy came in and replaced them, they didn't make him move the tap to the front of the house, I guess. So they just attach to the existing, which is what we're doing in Force. So I said to Jimmy, if you lose water near the building, let us know, we'll get it back on. I got home at about 9:30, Nancy calls my cell phone, I don't have water. I'm like, well, what do you mean, I just talked to you, you had water. So she must not have left it run long enough, and it finally drained
Because they
out.
turned it on when I left there. They had it on.
That was, yeah, the day or two before was
No.
when she called me back. So here, we found out that was her line. So in the morning, Justin turned it back on about halfway, and she was good till they fixed it. And then they went full bore, and it hasn't leaked since. But
I think you have to put to Justin that if he's on Benson's clock,
yeah,
you have to
and I
tell
think
him.
he'll know that and understand that. It's just
Okay, just so.
Is that the only thing?
The other thing is the trailer court. Did you send them a letter to say that we're not liable for their water? You're supposed to send them a letter?
No, we were gonna discuss that. We were gonna,
Discuss it?
we pulled out the,
Yeah, they were supposed to check into the.
there's two different contracts. So, they need to be reviewed, and we'll go from there.
Yeah,
because-
I never read the contract. Maybe
It-
before I leave, I'll get a copy. and
Yeah.
read it.
I'll just study it over the next month,
Yeah.
and the next
Study
meeting,
it.
maybe we
Aren't
can
they
get
having
some.
health issues?
They are having health issues.
Okay, now,
Mr. and Mrs.
the fence in the back of the thing, did you get that fixed?
So,
it is scheduled.
Oh,
Kessler's came. I left them a message. Hadn't heard back till.
Cause I just keep a little checkbook here and there, what's
Yep.
going on.
Yep. Kessler came today. He's gonna have it in. He's doing work in St. Mary's. He's gonna kind of do like an in-between job thing. He doesn't imagine it's gonna take long. But
Okay.
he said within the next week or two. And he
Okay.
put a flag there to mark it for one call. So
Okay, and I see the cameras is on the thing. You did that.
cameras are done. Yep.
Okay, the only thing I have on the dirty water,
Mhm.
okay, is the guy at the greenhouse over here. I work with him.
Yep.
And he brought a bottle of water in one day and it was dirty. And he wrote me a note and he said he called here and left a message to see if it was a boiling water note. But nobody, you guys never called him back. He asked me, is the water good to drink? I said, if it's dirty, don't drink it. I know
Some of
guys-
these people call and you can't even get a number on them, they talk so fast you can't
We
even
have
understand.
been.
We
we've
have been calling people
back.
back.
We must have
Okay,
missed
well,
his.
I told him I would mention it.
Yeah. What's his?
Uh,
What's his name or?
Right, that greenhouse at the corner, where Ellie used to live.
Oh,
Oh,
in Weedville.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
whole, that street's been
Fox,
dominated
is it a
by
Fox?
different people.
Fox?
you mean where Scotty's mom and dad used to
Darren,
live?
Darren Carone,
Oh,
Darren,
no, okay,
Darren is his name,
alright.
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't get a note.
I've talked to him
But,
before. He's a decent guy.
Yeah, he's a decent guy, he had water in
Yeah.
the middle of the week, it was really, really dirty.
Mhm.
Then he asked me, should I drink? I said, if it's that dirty,
Yeah, if it's
don't
that
drink it,
dirty.
I'm not gonna advise you to drink any water.
And that's why
I said, I know they're working on the line, they're draining the water, siphoning the water, but I'll bring it up.
There's one
And
on
we
the
haven't
phone
had
tonight, I
any
can't
water
understand
either.
who
Yeah.
it is,
With the
they
rain,
don't
I mean,
talk
this
when
has
they're,
been the year of.
Yeah. I'll get
They
a
give
hold
their
of him.
I know,
numbers,
but I said I would bring it
I'll
up,
ask on
but he
Definitely a
didn't
big
call.
drop.
I'll get a hold of him and tell him.
And the only thing else is, when are we gonna start for us?
12th.
12.
I think that's all on the agenda, I mean,
Okay, that should be on the agenda.
it is, they're all on the agenda here.
Alright, okay, back to our correspondence with William Upperman's letter here. I think we ought to put it in the paper. Can you give it like a letter to the editor?
I think
No, I
William
don't
should put it in the paper if he wants it in the
William?
paper.
Yeah,
Yeah, he wrote it,
Yeah. That'd be,
yeah,
Okay.
that would be, if he wants it published,
Um,
then he can have it published.
what I wouldn't be opposed, I think we mentioned before, is putting to the editor. At some point, the press needs to know the discussion of this merger and whatnot. Rather than just try to hide it out of the public eye, and
Yeah.
I think maybe
I've
that
said
would be
that months
something.
ago,
Yeah.
Well, maybe
So-
we should invite
months
them.
ago.
We
Called
should
it.
invite WTAJ and
Yes.
WJAC.
Some
come to
news
that
should come
meeting.
down except for
Yeah.
me, not just me taping it.
That's,
I think
that's
news
something that
should
just
be
triggered something, you know, every night, you know, you sit down, you watch the news from 5 o'clock till 6:30.
Unless you live at my
To-
house and you watch it all night long.
Yeah. Well,
Or Frank's house.
sometime this year, there was there was two boards that were trying to merge. But it was the same situation that we have.
Charlottesville.
What was it?
Reynoldsville?
Is that what it
Well,
was?
Sandy
Yeah, we
Township,
had it last
Sandy
year.
Township in the city of Dubois.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
And also Reynoldsville
they
had
didn't
one.
do it. They
Yep.
they didn't merge.
Right.
Yeah, let's,
Those are two townships though, and those are the
But that
town,
was, they
Sandy
were,
Township
I think
and
Reynoldsville
DuBois.
had, I
The
think their
one the same
water,
way with the water.
their water and their sewage were
Mhm.
attempting to
Yeah.
merge, I think it was
They
Reynoldsville.
attempted to merge.
but they couldn't.
Well, they
They
didn't.
did.
And that's when that chairman quit and
Yeah.
everything.
That's what we had that in our
Mhm.
last.
That guy with the guy standing
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
paper, yes.
Yeah,
And it got to be a big argument
We
when he
should,
quit.
we should dig into that a little bit. Just find out the details of actually what happened and why they didn't merge. You know what I mean? Just so we have it for when we go to this meeting on the 15th.
well, I think the article said there was a bunch of old men that just wouldn't let things go.
I have one more letter.
Are we gonna read William's letter?
You wanna read the whole thing?
It's pretty big.
I'm not really that good at reading, but you wanna read it, go
Wanna
ahead.
read it? We can get it out there on my tape if they wanna hear it.
Yeah, read it. You're a good reader.
Let's let William decide what he wants to do.
Okay.
Well, I mean, what do you think?
I think William should probably decide whether.
If he wants
Yeah.
publicized it or not.
I think he wants to.
Yeah, 'cause he's given a copy to the supervisors, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
But still, let's wait for his word to us. About what he wants done, I would think.
If I had his approval, I guess I would,
yeah, back them 100%.
I'm sure.
and
I'm,
it's to the water board authority. I mean, it's not
Mhm.
to anybody else, it's just to the authority, so.
I'm sure the record requests will be pouring in.
It's fine. Okay.
I have one more
Oh,
letter.
yeah, the big one.
I have a letter from Penbest. In an effort to address lead-related threats to public health and drinking water, Penbest is providing approximately $93 million in the form of principal forgiveness loans toward remediation of lead in drinking water in the Commonwealth. The one-time funding is being provided through the Penbest Lead Line Replacement Initiative. The application deadline for this effort is February 3rd, 2021. For more information, you're supposed to
Go,
contact your
Justin,
local
get on
Penbest.
it, brother.
Brian.
Yeah,
Brian, I mean.
I don't think we-
Sorry.
we don't really have, cause that doesn't really affect,
Us.
yeah, it doesn't really affect, we can't really go into people's
Find out
houses
who
to
has
replace
lead.
their
Yeah.
lines.
That's, I mentioned that to Sharon this morning. I said I don't know if that would count us. If we knew we had lead goosenecks,
Exactly.
that's probably what that's for.
Yeah,
I have
Yeah, lead
zero
service
knowledge
lines, that
of
kind of
any
stuff.
lead service lines. I've only seen plastic, copper. And
I just wanted to bring this up so they're aware.
Yeah, wonderful. Alrighty. Okay, delinquencies.
There is none because bills will be going out in the next couple days.
Wonderful. Maintenance report.
Alright. Where we at? 71,400 miles on the F-250, 53,453 miles on the 2008 F-550. I note at the end both trucks were inspected. I'll kind of give an update on everything. The F-250, everything looks good. Tires will be good enough to get us through this winter. Next winter, we're definitely going to need them, if not sooner. They're a real luggy tire. They just, on a big truck like that, they don't last. Plus, we are out of alignment and they wore down that way too. But nothing immediate. He said, feel out the winter. If they're really bad, schedule it. Summertime too. If we're getting stuck in mud and stuff, we'll feel it out. There is a ball joint that's okay right now, but he said there's a little bit of movement, so
Come spring.
that'll be, yeah, probably springtime. Something to keep in the back of our mind.
Knee replacement.
hmm?
Knee replacement.
Essentially, that's kind of what they're built like, yeah.
I know.
Yep. Okay, the 2008 F-550, we see a bill in there that's pretty steep. We saw that one coming. We knew it was going to need stuff. We knew it was going to need tires from the get-go. He gave us a really good price on the tires. They're a nice luggy tire for the four-wheel drive and everything. He had to replace transmission lines. That's a highly labor-intensive job there. To get everything off, he had to burn the bolts, heat them up, and he goes, he put into it what it needed for inspection. He could have kept going and going, but that bridge when we get to it. It's safe, it's sound, it's good enough for inspection, and we're good to go as far as that goes. So moving on from that, 15-1 calls, checked facilities and buildings, mowed grass, weed eat as needed. Read meters, followed up on water complaints, they forwarded complaints that I wasn't there for to me. Worked on the storage bin at the shop, cut fallen trees along the well and grade road, replaced the sideboards on the dump truck bed, the treated lumber boards. We were provided excess blacktop from the Burndale Bridge project, and that was spread out next to the office over here and down. Anti-seized the hydrant ports on all hydrants that were used for flushing. Exercised the small hydrant in Scattertown. Shut off the main valve, opened the hydrant completely. Controlled the flow with the main valve. Closed the hydrant, opened the valve. The hydrant is now closing fully and operating as it should. In the past I had a hard time shutting it. It would drip, and I really had to crank on it. It closes a lot easier now. Took the John Deere mower to Legends in St. Mary's. The deck was white bent up from somebody hitting a rock, and it's been dripping oil. We had to add, it's always below the line every time we put it back. It's been that way for a while. The mechanic up there said, if it gets any worse, let me know, we'll take care of it. Well, it's to the point you have to add oil so much that if we didn't do it soon, it was going to boil. So that gasket has, the engine gasket has been replaced. I believe it's ready for pickup. Repaired a leak on Spruce Street, serviced the line before the curb box. So we fixed that. Notified of another leak at the Valley News. We talked about that briefly earlier. Homeowner's side. Attended the pre-construction meeting at the Forest Ball Field for the Forest Water Line project, and both trucks inspected.
Can I talk a little bit for
Yep.
just a second about why the grass on the hill down there isn't being cut?
Well,
He refuses
I-
to cut.
I do. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus because we know what that.
Well, I've taken pictures every
Yeah.
month that it hasn't been cut, so.
On our list so basically I don't like tell them what day they have to mow. It's basically when you see it gets high, you do it.
Mhm.
But I have on the list like mow the plant, mow the office, mow the intakes, blah 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 blah. In parentheses, I have that includes the trim, which as far as I'm concerned means like if they don't want to weed eat every time, we've talked about that. If they don't want to weed eat every time, big deal. I don't weed eat at home every time. But when I say that includes the trim, that means
Do the trim.
also do the places that the mower doesn't get. So, as far as the hillside,
You know,
it should be getting mowed.
I thought this hillside, I'm thinking hillside, you know. some
This-
big
he thought-
hillside.
What I
Like my
think.
mother's yard up here that I've cut since I was 10, you know. But once he showed me what it is,
It's no big
it's
deal.
nothing.
It's just
It is
somebody being,
Lazy, 100% lazy.
Yeah, it's time
Well-
to walk in and say, cut the grass today.
We've done. That's why we had that meeting with all the employees. We
I'm done.
explained that to them, you know. Told them you have one last shot, you know. I don't know what to do with it.
Can I mention one thing when you're talking about the trucks here?
Mhm.
I'm not saying this year, but you're getting the 71,000,
Yeah.
10 years old.
Yep.
And with the rebates the townships and
Yep.
they get,
Mm-hmm.
maybe down the road here, you think about trading that in before transmission goes, which would be $3,000.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I mean, down
Yeah,
the
that
road
we-
here,
I know I brought
We
that up
talked
before.
about
I don't know if I brought it up with you. So the way that program works, I learned about it when we went to
yeah,
get the F550.
they get a good price off.
The CoStar's price is so good. City of St. Mary's does it. The CoStar's price is so good, so you get a truck for $25,000 that is normally a $35,000 truck, $40,000 truck. You're getting that price so good. They buy them outright with cash, no loan, and in 3 to 4 years after the warranties are up, they trade that in, and
That warranty going.
they are darn near breaking even. So, and I asked Jeff about that. I said, what are your thoughts on this truck underneath and everything? because your wear and tear items are, I mean, ball joints or
Mhm.
bearings and stuff. We've had to replace them. They're going bad. Look where we're driving up on
Yeah.
that road. Where that truck gets hammered.
Mhm.
But the frame is still painted black. I mean, the underneath of that truck,
Keep it
the
over,
cab
keep
is
it over
still-
up.
yeah, it's still in fairly good shape.
Mhm.
The beds going on it, those Reading beds all go.
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
So, I guess that's like Fran said.
I'd say
Would it
before you hit
be-
80,000, 90,000, trade it off and get a new one
Yeah.
under the co-stars. Do you get a good price out of this yet?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
I mean, something down the road to think about.
would it?
Sure, when you do the budget,
The budget's
You can
gonna be
look at it.
started.
you
Yeah,
can
we-
look
I
at.
can-
Start the budget.
I can talk to Ed Horner of Murray
Well,
sometime.
the budget I told them to put in their wish list, we will go from there.
Yeah, I'll go talk to him and see if he can quote me a new F-250 with a utility bed, see where we're at,
Mhm.
and have him give me a rough trade-in price. Because really, I guess Jeff's opinion was, well, I wouldn't get rid of it, you still got time in it. Yes, that also means if you're going to trade it, do it
Except for
before it's
plowing
too late.
snow, you're out of guarantee.
Yep,
And you blow a transmission or something,
exactly.
you lost your, your trade-in and everything.
Yep, it's you hit a point where you either commit to running it till it's dead,
Yeah.
or bite the bullet and
Once you
and
go over
trade
80,
it.
90,000, then you're committed probably till you die.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be working on the budget within the next couple weeks, and so we can review it in November or approve it in December.
Yeah, that's better than.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I'll.
okay, I
I'll
just
see.
thought I'd bring that up because of co-stars and not the.
That was something I bounce around in my head too. So I think that's
We just talked about the budget today.
Another authority I just dealt with just bought an F-250 with a utility bed on it. I can see what they paid, cause I know they paid through CoStar's
Mhm.
cash.
Oh, okay.
So I can reach out to them and see what they paid.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Okay, operators report.
We produced. So distribution flow was about 6.18. I'll just read it out. 6,179,413 gallons. Water produced was a little bit more than that. 6,502,002. The surface plant produced a whole day's worth of 235,378 gallons. The rest of that was from the well, 6,266,624. Quick update on the well. Well, no, I'll do it at the end. I have a drop update on the well at the end. Completed and submitted all DEP required reports for the month of August, not July. Completed daily lab tests. Bacteria samples submitted to the lab. Regulatory pickup sample by the lab. Gonna make sure I don't miss. I have it listed down below. I'll skip it. I'll say now the lead copper sampling period was last quarter. We picked up all of the samples beginning of this week. Fingers crossed everything will be good there. We backwash filters, backflush intakes as needed. I need to cross that off. There was no backwashing. Logged monthly data into the Excel worksheet. Replace worn out pump tubing at the well. That's been about once a month at this point because of the high pressure at the well and the frequency we're running the well. It still beats having to go to the well every time it turns off to start it back up, and so those pumps are still way more reliable than the others. Helped Windstream troubleshoot Gardner Hill communication issues. Traced communication to its pole, or we traced the communication line to the pole. So everything was connected from the plant to the pole. We found out Windstream gave away our pair to someone else for a phone line. The lineman came in and fixed the issue. We talked before that, or the last meeting, that half of the month we didn't have communication to it. So I mentioned with Sharon, the bill comes out automatically. We are going to contact Windstream to get a credit for that. Filled chemical drums and mixed phosphate at the well. Look up the generator part. I found it on eBay. rather than either me buy it on eBay, have the water authority reimburse me, or vice versa, have the water authority make an eBay account for that purpose, get charged tax, etc. I contacted Clearfield Electric, they are a Kohler dealer. We have that replacement part coming, as well as an air cleaner for that generator. Fairly clean room, but it's been 25 years or so since it's been replaced. It won't hurt to clean or to replace it. They said really, other than oil changes, that's the most you can do for maintenance on that generator. Based on its age, when something major goes.
Does it start up every so often?
Once a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't think it has any issues, so.
Did they tell you the parts are in for that?
Yes. Yep. So we'll have to go to Clearfield, pick them up. Responded to dirty water complaints, spoke to customers, completed a light linear flush to clear the lines as best as possible with respect to the dry weather conditions. Filled a jar of water to see if it discolors. It has not turned color in nearly a month, so that's telling me that the phosphate chemical is working properly to sequester it. I guess, for example, when I worked in the lab, if you took a non-preserved bottle from a well, after a few days, if not sooner, you'll see it turn orange. The phosphate prevents that from happening, so that's what I was doing. I was checking that that wasn't going to occur, and it stayed clear. So that kind of reinforces the idea that, okay, our discoloration is indeed from the new chemical stripping off the old chemical coating. Sampled extra distribution samples due to dirty water complaints, consistent with changing of corrosion control. Another thing to note, in areas where I did collect dirtier water, the phosphate numbers were also reading really high. So you have a higher concentration of phosphate. That's what it is. That's what's stripping off. Assisted a customer in troubleshooting a leak on his line to his subdivision. Unfortunately wasn't able to pinpoint it, but we recommended he continues his line and tries to keep finding it. Downloaded the meter gun for reading. Corresponded with DEP sanitarians regarding dirty water issue and complaints. Provided them requested data. Calibrate analyzers to EPA 334, that's chlorine. Calibrated turbidimeters. Despite not running the plant, I have to still do that. After some complaints, DEP sanitarians were in to do field testing and collect samples for testing. They had no other comments or violations while they were here. They said it's all dependent on what the sample results come back from DEP and what DEP wants to do. But as far as they were concerned, everything was consistent with, okay, it's the well, it's the phosphate, they weren't overly concerned of anything major.
How long does it take to get the results back from them?
They sampled quite a bit of stuff, so I would say at least 2 weeks.
Okay, I didn't know how quick of a turnaround you got.
Yeah. Bacteria usually really quick, nitrate stuff is really quick. They did metals, so that has a longer hold time. That
Okay.
depends when. I imagine pretty quick. Bureau of Labs is probably they're the lab that the state goes through. It's in house. They're pretty on top of things. So
Okay, cool.
Was that another call-in? Somebody called DEP?
that's what triggered it. They had enough calls and enough angry calls, I guess, that they were content for a while just with me explaining and everything. But after they get so many, they have to
Check it out.
come out and check it out, make sure everything's okay. Oh yeah, I did mention, picked up lead and copper samples for customers. Quick drought update, I guess I'm bringing this up as a general comment. We are not on water conservation. The well is holding its own. The well is performing quite well as far as volume goes. Quality is a little different. It's not the first time we've been on the well. We all know it's a little different, but the well is doing great as far as providing volume for this system. We got a peculiar record request today regarding drought, asking for pages of our drought contingency plan and our static well level. Static well level is the well's conditions under normal conditions not being used. That's 20 feet, minus 20 feet. I'm going to print out that printout to show them that. What that's telling the requester is not much of anything. I'm not sure why they're asking for it, but we have to provide it. And then the drought contingency plan, which is basically the state's plan on telling us, like a plan of when it's appropriate to issue drought notice and whatnot. I talked briefly with Brian. There is a minor update we have to do that about as far as contact people. Otherwise, nothing changes. It all stays the same. And basically, what is outlined in there is minus 105 feet would be considered like the drought warning. We should issue a voluntary conservation notice. We are not at minus 105 feet, so I have no reason to go on voluntary or any sort of conservation notice. Like I said, the well's doing its job, and pray for rain, but until then, I'm not really panicking about levels yet, so.
Unless we have that well, we'd be
Yes.
really in trouble.
What can we do
Absolutely.
as a board to help? Because I feel like when there's no water and all this stuff going on, if there's anything that we can do to send out to customers, I think that we can do that, you know? It's not just you, and it's
Yeah.
not just Sharon, it's not, you know, the other employees.
Yeah.
Cause we're behind you 100%.
Yeah, right now, only thing I can say, like, if it's basically, like, I'm telling you what I know as far as the complaints about the water, so if you guys just, when people, if there's a question you can answer, definitely answer it. If it's something you don't know, either have them contact me or you guys contact me, and I'll tell you what to tell them. I mean, we're honest with everybody.
Right.
We're not gonna.
Trying to help
You
them.
don't have
Yeah.
anything to hide.
Yeah, that's
so
exactly right, you're
I
not
guess-
hiding.
We're not hiding
yeah,
anything.
I guess the big points I've been hearing is, well, the dirty water. We all know the routine with the dirty water. It's the
We live here
phosphate.
too, our water is just as dirty as theirs.
Yep. And for the most part, I'm hearing it is clearing up. There are some areas that
The only
Are
time I had
getting it,
dirty water is when it was flushed.
it was flush.
And 2
Yeah.
days after that, it was gone.
And for the most part, I have one in Burndale today that I talked to that said they still had a little tint. She's like, it's not concerning, it's no sediment. She's like, I just didn't know if it was safe to drink or not. And I'm like, it is safe to drink if
That's
it's
here in Burnville.
yeah, Jefferson Street. I mean,
Seems to be the worst.
it's their discretion. If you see water is brown and you don't want to drink it, I don't blame you. It's not gonna make you sick, but you have to use your own discretion. It's the idea of it. When we were flushing hydrants, we would finish a hydrant, it had a slight yellow to it. I drink the water in front of everybody. Like, it's not,
Justin and William said the same thing.
yeah,
They
it's,
drink it.
we know it's not bacteria. We know it's not gonna give you any sickness from that. I've gotten other complaints about the well water. Oh, why is it so cloudy? Well, fill your glass and let it sit, it goes away. What's that tell you? It's air.
There.
That's obviously not gonna hurt you. Oh, it spots my sink. Well, higher dissolved solids. There's other stuff in that well. You're seeing that deposit. I have a dark colored car. If I spray my car off, there's white stuff there. That's just
It isn't like we're the only
exactly.
water authority
We
in
aren't.
the state of Pennsylvania that's
Right.
going through this right now,
So-
you know?
If you're hearing the common complaint, you guys know how to answer it. If it's something out of the ordinary, let me
'Cause
know.
I think it's really bad down towards like Lock Haven way and
Oh,
down
that's,
that.
I mean, there's a lot worse. There are
Yeah.
people that don't have water.
Yeah,
Yeah, if they don't have wells or something, what are they doing? You know, we're lucky to have that well.
And that's my philosophy. That's all I can ask is relay the information, and we know it's the well, we know it's different, but it's better than nothing. And we are lucky to have that well. If we didn't, my stream gauges have been reading the same number for an entire month. It's so low that those stream gauges can't even get a reading. So if I drew from the stream now, I'd probably suck it dry. I might be sucking air if I ran the stream.
Yeah,
Like
it would be.
So
Nothing, and we'd go coming over them logs last week.
yeah.
Them logs they put in, there was no water going
No.
over.
It's tough, but like I said, the well is doing its job, and that's what we got. So
It is.
Would right now be a good time to rebed Kersey?
I have mixed thoughts on that. Yes, definitely would be definitely the time to do it. My concern is what happened last time. We revetted it, and then the following spring, like 2 months later, it washed right out. So the only reason I'm hesitant to do that is because there's nothing upstream of it preventing it from going through. And then I did talk to the township, or Jeremy, at one time. They're supposed to do that stream bank remediation and stuff.
And there's really bad shape up there, the logs
Yes.
that I seen up there, up
Yeah.
before the big hole.
Yeah, and I guess what really did it, they rerouted it. So the channel it's in now, the channel it's in now was the overflow channel. It used to go towards the road. They built up the roadside and made it go through the overflow channel, so it's a straight shot down through, and I think that's where it's getting the velocity. And I understand why they did that. I'm not faulting them. I'm hoping whatever they do for stream bank stabilization up there, they can work with us and try to slow down that velocity, or maybe make it go back toward the road, but keep it from eroding the road. Because I don't want the road to erode away either. But I'm hoping to meet in the middle somewhere, because that's the thing. We can keep dumping money into rebedding that, but when we do have rain, that limestone's just gonna go.
Well, I think if we do it again, we need to put some kind of filter down, even if it's like a riprap, like put fence down on top of our stone, so it doesn't just blow right out.
I agree.
Yeah,
That's
we
a good
need to
idea.
put something that's actually gonna hold it in there as
Yeah.
well.
So should we try and scramble, well, not, I guess, intelligently scramble a plan together for that, or?
Why don't we, once we get, working here, maybe we'll all go up and just take a look at it and just see if we can't come up with some ideas, cause I'm sure,
Yeah,
you
and
know, that
we have the permit to enter the
Yeah.
stream, so.
And we have a lot better idea of what it looks like actually.
Couldn't they make them
That's a good idea.
thinner baskets instead of the big square ones, make them thinner and set them down on it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
well, I think your main concern, if, the creek's, obviously flowing down this way,
Mhm.
you need something that's pretty big and massive like this, that's gonna stop that water from washing it out,
Mhm.
then just lets all the, then in here have all your stuff that keeps your water,
Yeah.
the inlet clear, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, keep it cleared in that channel. Oh, you could probably almost base it like what the fire department did. They made, I don't know if we'd be allowed to make like a splash dam, but they have a splash dam and it pours over that, and then there's a nice slow channel.
Well, again, remember, we don't wanna slow it down right there, because then it's gonna deposit all the
That's true,
sediment
you'll
on
have-
top of it.
You'll have aggradation, yeah.
We'll do some talking about that and see what kind of
Good idea.
ideas
Yeah, you'll be up here enough, you'll be here with them.
on
I
occasion, probably.
think that's a good idea, and I imagine we're still gonna be pretty dry coming back then, so I like that idea. Yeah, like I said, my concern was rebuild it and wash it out. We don't wanna do that every year.
Gotta do something that's solid, that's gonna
Definitely.
last.
Because honestly, I went from, and I guess that's a learning curve of being an operator. I was taught with Dennis, because it was the way he was taught too. Your intake clogs up, you flush it. Well, I've learned, we've both learned that, okay, don't just flush it when you need to, because then it's all packed in there. We've both been, like, it would clog up within a week at that point. So then I'm like, alright, every backwash we're flushing. And that has seemed to improve things. So, there's a little bit of preventative maintenance on that end. But I can say, when I started, we could go a month without flushing an intake. It went now, like if the water's clean, I can go a while. But as soon as we get storm water, it packs right in there. So, it definitely needs rebedded, and that would alleviate it, so.
And we'll get together on it. Okay, on to old business. CDBG grant forest.
Franny, like we mentioned before, after talking to Rick Marzella, we're looking at starting October 12th. We had that PA 1 call meeting this week for that project area. It looks like the foreman down there, Matt Hans, coordinated with the township on a staging location down there. So October 12th, we should have shovel in the ground. By the looks of it, they're pretty much guaranteed we're not going to be final paving this fall. So essentially we'll be either putting a thin layer of hot pave down or just putting cold patch down and just continually maintaining it over the winter. And that's gonna be one of the things, I mean, if there are complaints through there that a pothole's forming, that's something we need to know, and we can come back in and touch it up as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think they start making hot pavement in November 15th.
Yeah. And again, personally, I'm actually kind of happy about it because that's gonna give that trench area a lot more time to settle down. We're gonna get a lot better finished paved to it.
Yeah, you don't wanna pave that maybe 6 months.
Correct.
You know what I mean, after you're done. I would say, I'd put up with a little bit of gravel and stuff for 6 months. At least let it fall so you don't end up like these streets did
Yes.
so many years ago.
Still that way.
The winter will be
Yeah.
good with frost heat too.
As long as the people down there know.
Hmm?
As long as the people live down there know.
Yeah.
And there are gonna be, I mean, like we said last meeting, we'll have an inspector there full time. I'm personally going to talk with several of the residents, make sure everything is going to be okay down there in certain areas. So hopefully it goes off without a hitch.
Well, you know, there's all kinds of projects going on all over the place, ain't like we're the only town putting a
Yes.
water line in or a sewer line this time of year, I mean,
I
It
think
happens
the gas
all the time.
company's done with their new line.
Yes.
It looked like they were done, the gas company put in the line.
Yeah,
I
I
have like one right at the curve when you first come on Pine Ave, because they couldn't find their line that do that, but otherwise I think they're done.
I thought they were gonna replace a little bit more extensively than what they
Me too.
did.
Me too. Justin brought up a good question today. You guys work 410s. He said, is somebody gonna have to be on staff with the water authority 10 hours a day to inspect? I said, I don't think so. I mean, it's not like we're gonna be babysitting Continental all day.
I mean, they won't be inspecting
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, so I said, I'm sure throughout the day we might pop in and out, but
Well, the only thing that I was actually talking to you about it earlier. You know, they're once, I mean, you're done at 4 o'clock,
Mhm.
you know, and Cattleton closes at 5.
Mhm.
You know, if we would have a late evening, because sometimes we'll work till 6 or 7.
Yeah.
You know, if we'd have a break and would need a fitting or something, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
we'd obviously be looking for you to get a fitting.
yeah,
off of.
absolutely. That's what I
You
told him.
know.
I said as far as at least my interpretation of it would be throughout the day, stop in. You know, we'll be bouncing around, but if there's some, if they choose to work late, doesn't mean we have to. But
Yeah.
if there's enough spaghetti in the ground up there,
Well, I
you're
mean,
gonna
I
hit stuff.
guess what my question is, I mean, I can come up here and come in and get a fitting, mark down what we got, so that way the next day we replace it. You
Yeah, as
know,
long
if
as
there's
it's
an emergency
as long as it's
situation,
replaced.
you
Yeah,
know
and
what I mean,
And if you hit something and water's flying, one of us is gonna show up anyway. So
Well, and that's the thing, I mean, by 5 o'clock, there's a lot of times you guys may still be working,
yeah,
but you're
it's
not
still doing
continuously
cleanup.
digging.
Yeah.
You're normally packing up and.
Yeah.
It's gonna start getting dark here about, what, 6 or?
Too soon.
So I said I wasn't that concerned about extra time staffing or anything.
Well, do we need to approve any overtime?
I don't think so. It would just be just like normal. Somebody else hits a line, you're gonna come in.
Okay.
Yeah, again, I wouldn't think so. I mean, the only time they would need to be there afterwards is, I mean,
If it would be a major
Yeah.
break or something, you know.
The only thing we would need approval for is if we wanted to mandate someone to stay late. And I don't think at this point we need to. So,
Well, you know where to find Jimmy.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Alright,
I'll vouch for it.
okay, phosphate.
Phosphate, we touched on that earlier. Still getting some complaints. They are getting fewer and fewer. DEP was in, looked at some things. We still had a little bit of discoloration in the Caledonia area. We're monitoring that. Entry point never got dirty. They were here, they were sampled. Entry point was clear. They sampled Scattertown building. I hadn't seen any color there, and they didn't either. So I think at this point, at least in the main areas that have a lot of flow, the old phosphate is gone, the new one is establishing itself, and once the old layer is gone, it should be smooth sailing from here on out, and we'll anticipate good lead copper samples. If not, we'll go from there.
I feel like I picture we would have a quarter of the complaints we're actually having if we were on the surface water plant right now.
Definitely.
Just because you're compounding the issue with a different quality water on top of the new phosphate, and I think that's getting a lot more people stirred up.
Okay, PA small water and sewer ground.
We took that off last month, that should have
Oh,
come
I
out.
say we can take that one.
Okay, define the trespass.
Alright. No update for me at least.
Okay, automatic gate opener.
Finally got a hold of Kessler, as they are, I mentioned to Fran earlier. They are going to replace the rear gate within the next week or two. Seems like a simple job for them. We talked, I had Dale with me, the owner. He looked at the gate on the hill next to the plant. Because by rights, yeah, they didn't terminate it right. They could redo it. He goes, for as much as we use it, not worth it. I just put the chain in it and lock it up. And I mentioned to him that the board's still probably interested in an automatic gate opener at some point. So he still sounded interested, but like we've mentioned at the previous meeting, priority was that back gate. We'll look at the gate opener later. So. But the back gate is scheduled.
Security camera.
Security cameras we can remove. They are in, completed, all 6. They work really well.
Wonderful. Okay. Job descriptions, we still have to do some work on them. Okay, tap fees.
I think that's another table.
Something else we gotta get on.
Patrick, did I give you the last tap fee that we did?
You sent me one thing and it confused the heck out of me and Sharon. So.
That's it's a different way of looking at it. There's a lot of places that the Act 57 allows you to include previous projects in as your tap fee. It's kind of like, okay, well you're tapping onto a system that's already been paid for. There's this amount already invested into it.
Oh,
So that's part of it. That's how a lot of places look at it.
Mm-hmm.
It is complicated and it takes a lot of time to do, but you're able to back it up with this. It shows you, okay, these are the projects we've done, this is depreciation, this is everything. This is why we are charging the fee that we are.
That's something we'll review with you here.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll plan on doing it next time then.
Yeah, all right.
It overwhelmed me. I'm just
It's
like,
just
oh,
like Patrick got it.
we need Brian.
Okay, CDBG New Burndale.
We have been approved for that. As Tracy said at the meeting, the money's probably not coming this month, next month. It's probably gonna be looking at February, March, that we will get actually funded for it, that we can purchase everything. Me and Patrick were filling out the forms today needed for it, in terms of breaking out the authority's cost, in terms of man hours and everything like that. We'll be getting that to Tracy tomorrow.
And that's for the new meters and stuff.
Yes, yep, for all of Burndale.
Okay, telemetering issue at plant.
Everything is fixed. We had that on here before. Part of that was the Windstream issue, but there was something else. What was it? It might have been communication losses for the well, but we talked about that. I'm gonna.
That was the issue, the loss of the
Communication as well.
yeah.
Okay.
I think you were looking into prices for that.
Yes, I'm going to get us a quote on the fiber and everything to get up there, and then have Cambria. We did apply for. That was the small water and sewer. We applied for the grant for that. We didn't get it, but that's still something that I think the water authority should cover. So I'll get prices on that and have that ready for the for the budget as well.
Can we take the telemetering off then?
Yeah, let's just change it, well communication loss. That's exactly what pops up. And I have noticed, doing my monthly reports, there are days where, say, the well ran for 10 hours at 200 gallons per minute, and then the next day it ran for 5 hours at 200 gallons per minute, but they both show the same well flow the 2 days in a row. And what I do, I get the average well flow and multiply it by the time to get the correct number, the best estimate that I can give. But I'm like, why is this doing this? Why is it doing this sometimes? The best thing I can kind of figure out, like on some days, especially running it every day, like some days it works, some days it doesn't, why is it doing that? I'm correlating that to a well communication issue. If it loses communication, it's not tabulating that flow, so the next day when it's trying to pull that, I think it's pulling it from the wrong historical data. So I think we'll see a lot of other things come out. I mean, is it okay that I'm calculating that? I mean, it has to be, because that's my best way to calculate that flow. But DEP and SRBC are gonna say you shouldn't have to calculate that, so.
Is that a windstream thing too?
No, that's just because we're losing radio communication to that,
Radio
so.
communication.
So I think that's also something that will improve, if we hardwire it. The reason I say that, none of the other flow meters act up like that for me. Just the meter pit and the well, and they're both on radio, so. I don't know if you've seen that or not, if that's a good conclusion I made or not, but.
Hey, this year has been something else.
Okay, on to new business.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
I'll give you copies of the minutes that I found in March 2014, March 11, 2014, on a break. I'm gonna share mine with you. Just give it to me, don't take it.
Just give it to me, Jimmy. Did you keep one for
You
yourself?
read it,
They were
I'll-
sharing.
I'll listen.
We're sharing. In March 11, 2014, I was reading the minutes for something else that was requested. And I come upon new business bereavement edition. Motion was made by Richard Fowler and second by Rick Rulio to allot employees 3 days off with pay for the loss of an immediate family member. Township guidelines can be used to add this policy to the handbook. The vote on the motion was unanimous. Motion was carried. This was never put into the policy handbook of the employees. So I feel that, or whatever the board feels, that we should add this to the policy that we already approved at the last meeting.
How did they forget to put it in there?
And I don't know, it's not in there. It was not in there when we
I
redid the
kinda was
policy.
kidding around with Sharon when it came up, I'm like, that would've been good to know, I want back pay. I don't, I mean, but yeah, that's an important thing.
We
They
just
should-
have to make a motion and approve it,
Well, they already
They
did,
already
so,
did.
They
yeah,
already
so
did.
It
we
did,
just,
but we just need to say that we need to put it into the
and
policy.
then we have to approve the new
approve
policy,
it.
the revision.
Yeah, the revision, so bereavement edition, you can put revision to the policy and just make a motion and second it.
I make a motion to make an addition of the bereavement
Well, we have to,
into the employee.
So immediate family, would you call father or mother, father,
They-
siblings?
yeah, they said,
I mean, no.
I didn't finish what I was saying.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, you go ahead now.
they said follow the township policy, I'd say make a record request to the township's policy and put in whatever they have.
They didn't put it in there?
No,
They didn't put it in their last plan.
no, they
They
didn't put
approved
it
it.
in.
They approved the policy,
But it was
put
never added
they
to the
approved
employee handbook.
adding
I think
bereavement
that
leave,
was
but they-
during this time when the whole board walked out,
Yeah, okay.
but I don't know.
We just have to
Because
make it
there's-
right. you know?
Never,
That's too long.
you can't find anything else, so.
Top secret.
So do you want the
Okay,
motion?
I'll
Yeah,
second.
go ahead.
I made the motion to revisit this, put it into the employee handbook.
Produce a draft.
I'll second that
bereavement.
motion. All in favor?
Aye.
to advertise, but
That's immediate.
we'll have to schedule an
Right.
interview.
Husband, wife, child,
Grandparents.
parents.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
up to the
yeah,
board
yeah,
there.
yeah, yep.
Wow, is grandparents included?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I don't, I mean, you don't get as much time, I don't think, for a grandparent,
We
maybe
get like 1 day. or
one day
something.
maybe,
I don't know.
yeah, as a rule.
We'll see what their policy
We'll
is,
look
and if
at
we
their
wanna make
policy.
any
Yeah, and see what
additions,
it is.
if we wanna make any additions or subtractions.
Well, we can make our own, I mean, I'm just,
Yeah.
we were just talking about what we were gonna do, whatever, okay. You want these back?
Yeah, I guess.
There, Jim.
What's the, you want, the other one is, hiring of a part-time maintenance person.
Yeah.
I, advertised it into the Daily Press and we put it on, Career Link,
It was in the paper today.
yeah. And the applications are due October 10th.
I know that could be, we said to Sharon, like, can we do that without board approval? I mean, we had all talked about before, you just can't hire without board
Yeah.
approval, so we just said, okay, we're accepting applications. It's up to the board what they wanna do, we can let the applications stack up and do nothing, I'd say otherwise,
That's actually emergency.
yeah, that's,
Emergency
I agree, like, we had William,
Impeachment.
so even with 2 full-timers and a part-timer, we're still nuts, we gotta have somebody, so.
So October 10th, when they're all completed, I will notify the board and give them a list of and decide when you guys want to interview, if you wanna go ahead and look at the process.
Wonderful.
Then we can schedule a special meeting to official hire.
Okay, good job.
Okay, number 2, executive session.
No, we're gonna close our meeting and then
Oh,
go
alright,
into
okay.
executive
So we
session.
should cover,
We should do number 3 then, the
We should
meeting
cover
status
meeting status.
before.
Oh, meeting status.
I just told Bob for the time being, I mean, I know we're the only one having closed meetings, I said, I think I mentioned it before in meetings, under the scrutiny we get, if by some off chance one of us gets it and spreads it in a water meeting, we wouldn't hear the end of it. Hindsight's 20/20. But we see a lot of places opening up and whatnot. I know the public would appreciate if we did include them.
Why don't we, talk about it a little deeper after the new year? I mean, we've got it this long, why don't we just,
I'd say let it go a few more months,
Mhm.
because they
Probably
say it's getting
October,
worse. If
Mhm.
it gets worse,
Yeah.
we're just stay this way. If it looks
Yeah.
good, if it looks good after December or something,
Then
then
we
we
can
can go
change it.
back.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Sounds like a plan.
Thing is, hindsight's 20/20. We don't wanna regret.
And we don't know. We don't know what's
yeah,
gonna
'cause who knows what's gonna happen over the next month or two, the flu season coming, and
Mhm.
everything coming.
Kids are back to school,
Mhm.
flu season, so you just don't know.
Yeah.
I'd
Oh,
say
the
leave
numbers
it
are
go.
up.
Leave it go
Numbers
for a
are up.
while. Leave it go for a while, we see what happens.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I have only one thing to do, this job schedule, that's what you want us to work on now, right?
Job descriptions.
Yes, the job description, it's all, it's all the same, pay schedule, job description, it's all.
No, it's just job descriptions, cause we broke it down into
Yeah,
3 different things.
Okay, we took that much out of it, I remember.
Mhm.
Okay, cause I'm gonna work on that this month, okay.
Yeah, so take the job description part,
Take this
look
part
at that.
out, and I'm just gonna work on this.
Yeah, and then I kinda dropped the ball. I promised the board I'd give them a copy of my draft as long as it doesn't bite me in the butt. In the moving process, my computer is packed away and I didn't print it yet, but I will get that for us to.
One last thing, did you get any kind of more prices on the, tap fees?
That's what he
That's
was
what
just
he was
talking
talking
about
about
earlier.
57.
Okay,
And
you're
he's
gonna
gonna be-
work on that,
He's gonna be around
Okay.
during the,
alright,
maybe we can
but
get
I know
some-
we were supposed to look into that.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
That's something else the couple of things on here, we just need to try to get something happening for the first of the year,
Mhm.
something more solid, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Alright, so what, we just gonna,
Sharon, when is it that we, sorry Jim,
No,
when
it's
is it that we implement the annual 2% raise a year? Is that in February?
For what?
for the water
Water
rates.
rates.
Water
That-
rates, that was
that was
the
the
last
last
year.
year. That-
So we should contact PMAA and see what they recommend.
Okay.
Is that PR?
Yeah,
PR
I know
done?
they pretty much always recommend 2 to 3% a year.
So we have to check on that.
Yeah, I think last year was the last year.
Yes.
It was.
So that's reorg meeting. So those would go out in the first quarter bills.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
that-
we'd have to check with PRWA.
If we're gonna be sending that out too, that'd just be a good time to send out a tap fee notification as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll check on those with them and go from there.
So aim for reorg to do all that. We may not have to.
Okay.
We have Jared Nagel, we're going into an executive session, we're Jared Nagel.
Unless there's gonna be decisions made.
Do we have to make a decision?
If
I
the
don't know, if
if
we
the
do, we
decision-
can re-adjourn,
Do you have to say one way or the other?
I don't know.
Yeah, if a decision is going to be made, then we go into recess and come back.
Yeah.
Or
So we
just
should
hold
get-
off on adjourning.
Yeah, go on recess and then come back.
Alright, so at
You have to turn your camera on.
Yeah.
8:20, we go into